that we would start with President Calderón of Mexico, who is going to host a summit on climate change next year. And I wanted to ask you, when you think about global cooperation, one of the central dilemmas you face looking forward is one that emerged in Copenhagen and is clear when you think about the issue of climate change, which is that the interests of the developing world and the interests of the developed world are not the same. And increasingly, the developing world, the Chinas, the Indias, the Brazils of the world, are speaking quite forcefully about their needs, their interests, and as a result, in a strange sense, even though we have more globalization and more global trade and commerce, there is actually less of a sense of common interest. So how are you going to square this circle next year?
It's going to be very tough and very difficult. And let me go in Spanish because I feel more comfortable in order to talk about this very difficult issue. Me parece que estamos atrapados en un falso debate. El problema del cambio climático, el problema del calentamiento global, no es un problema que distinga fronteras, no es un problema exclusivo de los países en desarrollo y no es un problema exclusivo de los países desarrollados. Por la misma razón, todos estamos obligados a cooperar y nos hemos pasado varios años debatiendo y peleando entre países desarrollados y países en desarrollo. Lo que nosotros queremos hacer para la COP16 en México es hacer ver a todos que tenemos un problema común, que todos podemos hacer algo en favor del cambio, de detener el cambio climático. En el caso de México, nosotros nos estamos separando de esta visión tradicional de que los países que estamos en desarrollo, que no tenemos suficiente ingreso, no tenemos la obligación de hacer algo. Nosotros hemos asumido nuestras propias obligaciones, hemos asumido un compromiso unilateral de reducción de emisiones para el 2012 en 50 millones de toneladas y para el 2020 en 30% respecto de nuestra actual tendencia, y creemos que otros países pueden hacer. Y lo que necesitamos son no solo objetivos claros, sino también los recursos financieros para poder llegar a esos objetivos. Pero mientras estemos culpándonos unos a otros, los países en desarrollo a los países desarrollados, por la contaminación y la emisión de gases que ya tenemos, o los países desarrollados contra los países en desarrollo por tener algunas características de grandes emisores, mientras la discusión sea acerca de quién tiene la culpa, vamos a seguir sin resolver absolutamente nada. Nosotros queremos pasar de esta etapa de pleito sin sentido y de recriminación recíproca a una etapa constructiva donde todos entendamos que el problema es común, que el cambio climático no respeta fronteras y que todos tenemos algo que hacer. A mí me parece que debemos entender que vamos en el mismo barco, vamos en el mismo avión. El problema de nuestro avión es que el piloto sufrió un ataque cardíaco, hay manera de reemplazarlo con otro piloto que va entre los pasajeros, pero nos hemos pasado el tiempo peleando entre los de clase turista y business class. Y necesitamos verdaderamente ponernos a trabajar para detener este problema que desafía a la humanidad.
President Calderón, you wanted to make a quick intervention and then we're going to go to the floor.
Yes. Well, one point about the relationship between economics and climate change. I agree. Of course, there are economic costs tackling climate change. But nevertheless, we need to realize that according with the consequences of global warming in the future, the opportunity cost of that could be higher in economic terms. So the point is, the cost of doing nothing now would be much higher than take actions today. And another point is, talking about economic arguments, that there are a lot of economic opportunities for several countries and people taking actions. For instance, the capabilities to create jobs and growth, creating renewable energy, or working in reforestation program. I'm thinking, for instance, right now in Haiti. Haiti is the island in the Caribbean who suffered much than other the deforestation process in several years. So there is an opportunity for reforestation process, and it's another way to help the people of this island. But my point is, we need to think in this problem that the world is sick and we need to fix it. It's the same in a family. If you have some members of the family sick, you need to bring his or her to the doctor and pay the cost. And we need to pay the cost in order to fix the world. Otherwise, the economic cost in the future will be worse for everyone. And other point is related to trade. We are failing in the point of Doha round. It's like an old joke in any summit that we attend in those 3 or 4 years. In any summit we say, we urgent to our people to finalize the Doha round, and next month, and the few days. And we see each other in the other summit, and we say exactly the same. It's like an old joke between us, and I don't believe on that. My point is, we are facing new problems with old mechanisms. For instance, the rule of consensus, the negotiation by consensus, which prevailed in Doha round and prevails in Copenhagen and in Conference of the Parties, is not useful to substitute the pilot in the plane. Why not? Because any time that only one single country, one single government want to block, to tackle the agreement of the world, this country will be able to do so. So we need to change the mechanism, because the negotiation by consensus instrument is not working anymore. I don't know if 1945, when United Nations were created, was useful. But today is not 1945. Today is 2010. We have new problems, and we cannot tackle those problems like the growth of the world economy through the trade. I do believe on that. Or to tackle climate change if we try to do the old instruments created in 1945. We need to create new instruments for a new era.
Question?
I'll try. Alejandro Bayer, Mexico.
He's speaking Spanish.
I was wondering if it would be feasible
Me pregunto si sería
that in a very short time, instead of all of us feeling so proud about how to answer a question without an answer,
Transfiere la
instead of
pregunta
laughing, we start
la
crying.
misma
And the question would be,
y la pregunta sería
if it would be possible that all
si sería posible
presidents and ministers that are
que
sitting
todos
at
los
this table,
ministros que
each and every
están
one
en
of
esta
them
mesa, cada
would
uno
do
de estos
something
hará
that they don't want to do, but that they know they need to give in, so that the rest of the country start giving in. I think that would change a lot of things. And my question would be to them if they think that would be feasible.
To do something that they don't want to do for the common good.
Exactly.
So let me ask President Calderón, this is one of the great tensions. You know, there are these global problems, but you are responsive to a national electorate, and you have to deal with the realities of a national electorate that asks certain things of you. You know, you have an election in Massachusetts, and all of a sudden it changes what America's position or projection of itself is in the world, because we have to deal with those issues. How do you tackle that? How does, I suppose the question would be, provide advice to elected politicians, since you are in the unique position of not having to run for re-election. What should they do? How should they tackle this?
Well, of course, in any case, you need to respond to your people. And the problem is how to combine the national interest with the global interest. And usually, the national interest, and more specifically, the political interest, prevails over the global interest. And this is the point, for instance, in terms of tackling climate change, and probably it's exactly the same in terms of trade and Doha round. But there is a point where we need to understand that this is a global era, and the most important problems of the global arena are affecting today or in the future to your people. And you need to respond with responsibility. And the responsibility is, I need to pay the internal cost, political or economic cost, in order to provide to the people of the future better future. And that is the most difficult decisions for any leader or for any governor or president. So the point is, you need to have enough capability to mobilize people and resources and to persuade to your own people the benefits of the right decision in international arena. Of course, it's very difficult for us to say to the Mexican people that as long as we can be a free country for free trade, we will be more competitive and we will be able to create more jobs and grow faster. But the problem is, I know there are a lot of local and sectorial interests opposed to any kind of reduction of tariffs. But at the end of the day, I realize that it will be benefit for Mexico and for the world if we can open the economy and the trade. And in the middle of, let me say this, in the middle of the crisis, I remember the G20 meeting in Washington. All the countries said that we are against protectionism. However, in the following 6 months, 14 out of 20 countries established one or another protectionism measures. Some of them even raised the trade, raised the tariffs. In the case of Mexico, we reduced the tariffs from an average of 13% toward 8%, and our goal is to reach 4% on average to the end of my administration. Of course, there are some sectors that are going to suffer the change, but at aggregate level, the Mexican economy will be improving. Actually, that was the experience with NAFTA in Mexico. Why? A lot of people were opposing to NAFTA because they were looking a threat in NAFTA to our own interests, but at the end of the day, NAFTA provided to Mexico more jobs, better salaries, and more growth. And the economy today is much better than then. So the answer is, you need to be responsible with your people and the future, or the old expression, you need to think a little bit more in the new generations than in the new or coming elections. And that's the key to move the globe, to move the world forward that we need.
Ma'am, over there, you see the lady? Yep.